from your time, and it could be any point in life, and it could be family member, coach, but tell me about a coach that you really, or a mentor that really, to this day, when you think back, you have a very vivid memory of what they did for you and what that meant to you.
I have a couple. I have a coach named Victor who really put me through like these not mental battles, but mental phases where he'd push me to see where I could go.
Mm-hmm.
I think that helped a lot, pushing the
Yeah.
limits and seeing how much I could endure. Um, and another guy would be, I think, Lionel Messi. I think I've always looked up to him. I think I've always based myself off his actions. He's very humble
Mm-hmm.
and just has a great work ethic. And I think even the way, I mean, I base my own playing on around him. So it's kind of, for sure, he's probably one of my bigger role models. So yeah.
Well, that's if you're going to emulate anybody in the soccer
Yeah.
world, man, he's a heck of a one.
Yeah.
Did you guys play the same position?
Yeah, we did. And we're
And is
both
that the
left-footed, so
oh nice? Is it and is that the 9 position? Is that right?
midfield, I'd say.
Midfield.
Yeah.
Okay, more like an attacking midi.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. For those, not everybody knows the numbers and the positions. So just it's such a soccer is one of those sports, man. I think it humbles you because you can go the whole game and not score. And then I feel like the last 5 to 10 minutes of action, it just intensifies at such another level,
Yeah. Yeah.
if it is tied.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that experience is really going to translate well for you in brokerage because there are those moments, and it's hard to tell right now because we're in training. Joey mentioned it on the first episode where it's like it's kind of quiet and calm. That's because we have a lot of new people in the office, but you guys all get a book of business going and it gets to be end of quarter and you have those customers. I mean, it's going to feel like that, but it's not going to be 5 or 10 minutes. It's going to be a couple days as you go towards the end of the month. So it'll come, and really, if you think about what the process we're doing, I've shared it with you and a bunch of people is like, I love sports. And I think it's a great training ground for business because to me, business is the ultimate team sport. And it's important. What we're doing now is we're doing all those little things. If you think back to when you first started to play soccer, you had to figure out how to dribble with both feet, and you had to figure out, how to do certain moves, and then you had to figure out a counter, and then maybe a counter to your counter because if they're a really good defender. So to me, that's really what we're doing right now is we're giving you and the rest of the team those skills so that when you need them in game day, so to speak, you're going to have them. And it's just, you're not having to think, you're just doing. So I'm excited about that. So you mentioned Victor specifically, and I love that you said the mental part of it. Do you have a specific example that you could share or be willing to share on exactly what he was doing and maybe how frustrating it was, and then when you saw the light?
Yeah, I think it was just throughout the whole season. I think I was being pushed in a way where he wouldn't push other kids, and I started noticing that. But I didn't take it as I'm being picked on. I think he saw the potential and tried to push it out of me, and I think having that kind of support under like a mentor, I think is important, and I think that's where I saw the benefits of most of it. Just I think embracing that relationship.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think you made a great point there with you didn't feel picked on. A lot of times, I've coached for forever, not so much high level soccer, but high level basketball. And I always tell the kids, if I'm on you, it's because I care and I see something in you.
Right.
And I think that's really hard. Depending on our age, we feel like why me? Why you have so much expectations on me? But really, it's because they see something in you and they're trying to draw it out. So that's a great point. So we got a couple questions here in the comments. So let's bring this up. So Ron Brewster, what is the motivation to switch industries and pursue the opportunity in the trucking industry? What's the attraction?
I think I was just really in the job market around here, Medford, um, and I saw the opportunity to make a salary, to be honest. And honestly, I just needed to get in the job market, and I just took a long shot, and now I'm
Yeah.
here.
Well, and I know you probably won't say it, but I'll say it for you, is that there's an opportunity to make a really good income at this too. You have the base, you have the protection of a base salary, but you're not capped on the upside. Whereas a lot of times you get into a job, and it's like, okay, maybe I have a decent salary, but I really have nowhere to go. Um, and I think top performers, they want to know that what's my ceiling? Well, okay, there's no ceiling really. It's like if you're able to continue to grow a book of business, we'll develop the support to do that. And I think that's super exciting.
Yeah.
Um, so great question. Thank you, Ron. We got another one here from your teammate. What are your hopes for what the future holds for you?
I got a lot of goals, and I want to accomplish a lot. So there's steps I got to do and things I got to do to get there.
Anything specific that you can share or feel comfortable sharing?
I would really want to become a real estate investor. So buying a piece of property is probably my first goal.
Yeah, that's well. What since you mentioned that, I've always, I grew up in construction, and my dad was a general contractor. When we moved to Oregon, the first piece that we bought was a duplex, and we lived in half of it. And it was a great way for us to get into the market, have a place to live, but also have that additional stream of income. Because when we moved here, um, I took a job similar. It wasn't for the huge base; it was for the opportunity. And my wife, I think I've mentioned before, is a nurse. She can get a job anywhere, so she was able to get a job pretty quickly. But it's a great way to get started and have that additional income, and you can still do owner occupied if you find the right person. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. So,
Yeah.
great question, Joey. All right, so let's get into a little bit more about the first week. So you just started September 30th, which was exactly a week ago.
Yep.
Um, Maybe walk us through something memorable or kind of what that first week looked like for you.
Yeah. The first week has been pretty good, honestly. The team has been super, super welcoming. The training process has been really good. I really appreciate the Grant Cardone University training program, which includes a bunch of like live meetings and webinars that we can dive into using our phone. But they really emphasize using the phone and communicating with prospects effectively, and learning all the steps of getting into that. So that's the knowledge being dropped in that will be beneficial when we do step into what we need to do in the office and communicate with other carriers and stuff.
Awesome. Well, this is a great time for us to do this spring on you, the role play. So you just called me, and you're a freight broker and I'm a manufacturer, and I answer the phone. Hey, this is Cale. What are you going to say?
Man, I need to pull up my script because I have not studied that. But I am working on it, so that's in the process.
What's the first thing that comes to mind? Because I think a big part of what this process is in Documented Live is to show people where you're starting, but as they follow along on your journey, the growth that you guys are going to see. And I know in a week or 2 weeks or a month, whatever that time frame is, when I ask that question, you guys are just going to be able to like come back and have your process down.
Right.
So is there anything that comes to mind that, and it's okay if we fumble here. It's okay.
Here, ask that again. Let's go.
All right. So you just called me. Hey, this is Cale.
Hey, this is Cale. Man. Yeah. Okay.
Nothing.
I got nothing for you.
All right. So we'll give a few tips for some people. For me, what I would say, if they just said this is Cale, it's like, hey, Cale, or I'll say I called you and like, hey, Alan, this is Cale with B2B Transportation. Hey, I know you're busy. You got a minute or 2 minutes is a way to do it. Or like, hey, I saw something recent that you had posted. Could be a segue into a deeper conversation. Or, hey, I've got I know you guys are doing X, Y, and Z because I saw this press release, and this is how we can help leverage, our expertise. Is now a good time, or when can we chat? I mean, really, for me, it depends on how they answer the phone, and then you're just kind of ping ponging back and forth with what they say and how you react to it. The biggest thing is you got to say something and get comfortable with that,
Yeah.
because the one thing I always tell people, when you're cold calling somebody or making that call, they don't know what you're supposed to say. And so don't get hung up necessarily on what you're going to say, but say it with confidence and have fun with it.